Hello! You like my hat? Excellente. Yeah. Okay, anyway, as you can see, very feminine today, but that's just because I just got back from play practice. Well, I didn't just get back, it was an hour ago, but whatever. So I'm still in feminine, we're looking more feminine because at school I have to, because my mother doesn't want me to dress like a guy or whatever, and at school I might as well go all out. I like my eyeliner, okay? Eyeliner is just my guilty pleasure, okay? Anyway, I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to start with my first one, which is from an anonymous on Tumblr. They say, my biologically female partner is genderqueer, identifying as both sexes. Or at least that's how they've come to understand it. I mean, the person who's sending me this. She isn't sure how to talk to her mom about not caring when people mistake her for a guy, or how she prefers feminine pronouns but masculine adjectives or nouns, like such as handsome, prince instead of princess. And do you think I could do a video on it? Blah blah blah. And she's concerned about it. So I'll go ahead and do a video on it. I assume that her mother does not know how she identifies on the gender spectrum, but I also am inferring that she already dresses gender or already presents herself as genderqueer. So her mother already probably has some sort of grasp on the fact that maybe not quite. I mean, she might have some grasp on the fact that she's not quite like doesn't identify as female. I'd say just communication. Just to go about talking to her. If you're scared about talking to her, there's plenty of things you can do. Like I for one, when I talk about serious things with anyone, I get really shy and flustered and I honestly lose every thought that I had goes out the window. Pachoo! So what I find helpful is to plan your questions in advance, plan what you're going to say in advance, maybe write it down, have an outline, honestly. Write it on your hand or something, just things to remember. Um, just feel around of how I would also, if you wanted to make sure she'd be okay with it, you can always feel around and be like, oh, so and so is female to male, or so and so's male to female, or whatever, and say, what do you think of them, or whatever, or just test the waters by asking sorts of questions that relate to genderqueer or trans, and because if they're okay with trans, they're probably okay with genderqueer. Test the waters, and if you think that it's not going to be an issue, a huge issue, then I would go ahead and bring it up. I mean, no matter what, it's going to be some sort of issue with your parents, I would think, in some respects. At least with my mother it was, because when I told her that I liked girls, she was upset because she wants me to have a white wedding, and it wasn't for the reasons that, she wasn't like, oh, that's wrong or anything, but she just had some, like, the only reason why is because she was like, oh, I want to have a white wedding. Some parents may be upset just because they don't want you to have to deal with such shit, because as a non-binary gender, I don't think that's the right word, as a non-binary gender, as a someone who isn't straight, you are put through so much shit and so much discrimination, and my mom, honestly, that's why she doesn't want me to wear my binder to school, and why um, I am quiet about it, or not really, not quiet at all, but that's why she wants me to be quiet about it, because she wants me to not be bullied because of it. But if she's too scared to talk to her mother about it, I would write a letter, because for one, that gets all of your points across. You have time to edit it and revise it so you can get the words exactly right, and you don't have to worry about how you're going to react to responses. For instance, when I tried telling my mom things, I would just everything would go out the window, because she'd ask me something and I had no idea how to respond. Or also, if like with a letter, for instance, you can make sure your points are heard. You can make sure all of them are heard without interruptions. And the thing is with letters, if what you can do is you can leave it for them right before you go to school. That gives them time to, or right before you go somewhere, that gives them time to consider it, to go through the oh my god shock moment, and for them to come to terms with it. It gives them time to think about it and rationalize. Oh, hopefully I want my daughter to be happy. That's what the ideal situation is, but sometimes that may not always be the case. I've had friends whose parents are not accepting at all, but I don't know. I can't tell. I can't. But I would think that based on the fact that she's probably dressed as gender or is presented herself as genderqueer, that her mother is somewhat supportive or somewhat knows a little bit about it. Um, so just sit down and talk to her. Communication is key, and or write her a letter and explain all of these things. Just go ahead and explain it. Talking is the best way to solve problems, in my opinion. Um, Now with genderqueer, I'm going to say this is a little confusing for me. I'm not quite sure on how to approach this, but the fact that she wants to use feminine pronouns but masculine adjectives. In our society, people automatically, if you look like a female, they will use female pronouns and they will use female adjectives. If you look like a male, they use male adjectives and male pronouns. And that's not something most people, most people will not flip flop those and turn them around, I guess, to make it like male pronouns, female adjectives, and such. But I'm saying with your friends, you can always, friends and your mother, you can sit them down and say, hey, I want to use, when you're describing me, I want to use male nouns and adjectives, or, and I would like to be identified as a female. That's just something I would include in your letter or in what you say to your mother. Honestly, I don't think it's anything to worry about because she already seems like she's accepted it in some respect. So I would honestly say just go and sit down and talk to her. I don't really know what to say. I'm really bad at these things. I'm really bad at giving advice. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Okay, bye.